Electrocast. It's Croctober, the official celebration of Crocs fans like you. So whether you like to rock your classic clogs, get cozy and fuss-lined, personalize with your favorite Jibbitz charms, or even, dress up like a clog for Halloween, it's time to tell your story and share your style. Join the Croctober celebration with Crocs fans around the world. Go to crocs.com to discover the range of shoes and find a pair that's iconic like you. Crocs, celebrating you all month long.
What up, y'all? It's Joe Budden, here to talk about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win real money while watching football. You can get up to 100 times your money.
Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code SPOTIFY. That's code SPOTIFY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Welcome to the next edition of Missing the Point. I am your host, Rayshawn Buchanan, with my guys, the Road BK, Bob Kelly, and DK Scissor. Fellas, how we doing tonight?
Yeah, we're doing
so good.
Go
Celtics.
Yeah, listen, Celtics are rolling right now. They're not rolling right now as we tape because they're facing the Indiana Pacers. But, there's still another half of basketball to go there. But, no, it's going to be –
Is that back from halftime yet? Is that –
Yep, it's going on right now.
It is?
Yep, they were down 10 at the half. I don't know if it started second half.
Oh, shit, it's already the third quarter. No, I left the other room at halftime, but here we are. All right, yeah. You talk while I put that on.
Yep, so listen, they've started 4-0. Hopefully it'll be 5-0 after we record this and put this out. But, yeah, just what have you liked about their play so far, Bobby? I know you've been watching, so just what have you been impressed by?
Just how efficient they've been, man. It's been unbelievable. Like, watching last year, you didn't think that they could get any better or more efficient, especially without Porzingis. But then these first 4 games, man, it's been unbelievable. The depth, too, has been something that I can't believe that this is, you know what I mean? This is the Celtics team that we have the grace and honor to watch at this point. It's amazing. It's basketball porn on a nightly basis.
It definitely is basketball porn. I feel like the thing that I really enjoyed when they first got back was the enormous chip on both Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum's shoulders from obviously all the USA basketball stuff. They're not hiding it at all that they're mad. Like they're not like, they're very open about it. They're talking to the media, at least on background about it. And I think it's showing up in their game. I think it's something we've always sort of lamented with those two, more so Jayson Tatum, that they sort of don't play with as much intention as we'd like from time to time. Whether you're criticizing Jaylen Brown's left-handed dribbles or Jayson Tatum's decision-making, there was always a little bit less, I guess intention would be the word. And they just seem like two guys who have really benefited from winning a ring. And Jaylen Brown really seems like the kind of guy who has really benefited from being called Finals MVP. It's not gone to their head in any sort of, detrimental way. It seems to have made them better basketball players now that the world has seen what they've sort of always theorized about themselves. And on that note, I just think basically in basketball terms, both of those guys have added to their games in the offseason, which I think is a responsibility that they have as elite players, as top 10 guys, top 5, maybe you can make the argument for one of them. So I think I've just been impressed with those two, because as you said all through last season, Ray, like if both of those guys cleared 20, we're probably winning the game. If they combine for a certain amount of points, we're probably winning the game. And Jaylen Brown in particular, you praised Tatum rightly for scoring on every level and getting to that point last season. Mm-hmm. And, as much as like the finals, he definitely like teetered out. His efficiency right now is crazy good. He's shooting the 3 at 40%, which we need. That's amazing because you just don't get mad at him at the same clip. But I think Jaylen Brown's scoring he's always been good from the mid range, but now it seems like he's got like a bag of tricks in the key that bails him out of the sort of dumb situations he would get himself in, where he started dribbling into the lane and like dribbling into bigger guys and all this stuff that everybody gets so mad about with him. Us less so, I think, because we're sort of optimistic about his game, but he's got a little bag of tricks now. He's got a little floater that I don't really think he's had before. He's using the backboard a little bit when he's dead on with it. He's just playing with a flow and confidence as a scorer that really, I think, opens up the court for everybody. And it's just, honestly, it's been a better product so far,
I think,
of basketball to watch.
I think
even
a
without
testament to that is he goes 0 for 4 from 3. In the past, Jaylen Brown does that, and he has an off game. Not against the Bucks. He, you know what I mean? He's scoring from all levels every single game. So
absolutely. I mean, his second half against the Bucks is really what's kind of inspired me to say that just now about his sort of bag of tricks. He was making shots that down the stretch in games that I mean, I know the Bucks haven't started great, and I know they didn't finish great last season, but it's still Giannis. It's still a group of guys that won a championship not too long ago. Even though one of them was on our team now, you fucking idiots. But they were all out there. And I'm sure we'll come on to talk about the Drew Holidays of the world a little bit later. But yeah, I think that's those. Honestly, it sounds like a generic answer, but Jayson and Jaylen are the two things that have really popped for me across 4 games, because I just think they're playing at such a high clip.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean that, before we just say it starts and stops with them. Obviously, there's more guys that have been key contributors, and we can speak about them as the show progresses. But man, yeah, they've come out on a mission, and we've said it on shows already, but we'll continue to say it all year until the season's over. But thank you, Steve Kerr. I cannot wait until November 6th. I'm going to be in the building. I put in my supervisor ear today. I said, hey, you might need me behind Golden State's bench. He's like, are you going to stop anything if something happens to Steve Kerr? I was like, that's debatable.
After like a second.
Yeah, I was like,
wait like a second.
We'll see.
Look, you just give it like a minute, and then you're all right.
Let's
I like Steve Kerr. I don't mind.
It's just that's going to be an amazing and just crazy scene. So I can't wait until that night. But yeah, I love how they move the ball. And it's funny, right? Because we talked a little bit about Nick Wright before we got on the show, and he is someone that I think got on his show. I think was called What's Right podcast, if I'm not mistaken. But he gets on there and he has this whole soliloquy about how the Celtics are ruining the NBA, and I, for one, think that's fucking hilarious, and it warms my heart because 5 months ago, we saw this man get on his great shot. I love First Things First. Him, Kevin Wiles, and Chris Broussard are a great trio. He got on there. The Celtics don't have this. Tatum is mid. Jaylen Brown is their best player, but it's like he's up and down. The coach hasn't proven anything. So he's giving all of these accolades or giving his reasons as to why they won't get it done or they can't get it done or never will get it done. And then 4 months later, you're crying to the NBA faithful to say, we've got to do something about these Celtics. Like, that is that's the biggest 180 of all time.
He said they had to change the rules now, right?
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke, bro. Like, that's fucking wild. So, I mean, listen, I love the fact that there's, the Celtics have these, reporters in shambles.
And can I read you a tweet from him on
everyone's
the 27th of May, 2024?
Yes.
By the time the Celtics adjust to playing real playoff basketball, the Mavs are going to be up 3-1. So that was a fun tweet. How'd that go?
He didn't get the series thing wrong. He got that part right because 3-1 was the thing. He wasn't wrong. It was by the time that turned out, But I was telling somebody at my job earlier, so I said, Luka, Kyrie, and others, because I was there behind the scenes when they were doing the finals media or whatever. It was very loose during the media session for Matt Dallas, right? They were playing great music, they're dancing, they're shooting crazy shots, and I'm like, oh, they think it's sweet, they think it's a joke, and I'm like, hey, there's nothing sweet about coming into this building in game 1 thinking that you're gonna come out and do something. And what's wild, I seen Kyrie before game 1, and it's not exaggeration because I was right in front of him, right next to him on the court. Dude hit 30 shots in a row. Not exaggeration. I was like, oh my God. I was like, whoa. I was like, please let this be something that he just does now and not during the game. And thankfully, once the crowd was involved, he faded away into the night. So thank you. I once again, Kyrie, you promised us that you were going to bring a championship, and you did. So for that, I say thank you. But then back to the Celtics roster, Pritchard, your guy, Bobby, I want you to speak on Pritchard a little bit too, because obviously, it's easier to speak about Tatum and Brown, but as someone who's been on the Pritchard train from the jump, once again, never wavered, speak to what he's been doing this early season, just with the leap that he's taken,
Well, yeah, man. I mean, you look at Pritchard, especially that last game where you have 8 threes. This dude he's averages 16 points a game now. So to see him take this leap this year has been something that, I personally have been seeing coming from the very beginning. And he's just, you know what I mean? His efficiency rating is through the roof. I mean, it is what it is, man. Payton Pritchard. I got nothing else to say. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's important to have a spot up jump shooter in the system that we implement. A guy who has very specific roles. The Celtics have a pretty firm identity now compared to obviously the building process. I mean, that's how it's going to be. But if you're accusing the Celtics of just being a team that just chucks up threes, I just don't think you understand what you're watching, because the spacing that we get, we manufacture. How long everybody is, how fast everybody is, and how everybody moves. Everyone seems to chuck up an up fake before they dribble into the key. Like, everyone seems to do it now, and it just seems like an instruction, because we're such a good shooting team. The logic makes sense. We're such a good shooting team that they always have to basically guard our shooters, right? So now we've started to see so much space open up. And if you're a guy like Payton Pritchard, I mean, yeah, he made 8 threes. He was alone.
24, 25 footers.
Like, he was on his own. Yeah. Yeah. Like, completely on an island. And it serves to speak to the depth of the team from a shooting perspective. But I think it also really serves to illustrate how we're able to move the ball, how we're able to space the floor. I mean, Al Horford, he might as well be 27 out there, the way he moves around and the way you have to go with him everywhere. The fact that there's every time you make one more pass on this team, the next man up can still shoot. And he can still shoot a 3. So if it starts with Tatum and it goes to Brown and it goes to Holiday and it goes to Horford and then it goes to Pritchard and all 5 guys touch the ball, every single one of those guys can shoot. So you at the very least have to adjust for that defensively, right? You can't just like leave guys on their own. So what happens is, I think, from what I'm watching in my own simple brain, you watch them just run and run and run and run until the 4th pass or the 5th pass of the half court series goes to a wide open guy. It does cause frustration for sometimes we are missing wide open 3-point shots, but still, I mean, you can't really complain about the volume that are going in. And Pritchard's been the best 3-point shooter statistically, 3rd best 3-point shooter statistically out of his draft class since he was drafted, with a minimum number of 3-point shots put up, obviously. So he's always been a good shooter. My worries with him were always about his size. Thankfully, a team we're locked in going up against probably in the playoffs is the Knicks. And I think you've seen that their backcourt doesn't pose us a ton of problems size-wise. And also, everybody else is huge. Like, everybody else is big for their position. Even Drew Holiday is like bulky for his position, right? Like, he's filled out for his position. So I think we're fine as far as size goes. I just did get worried when like Jimmy Butler was just like torturing Payton Pritchard 2.5 years ago now, down in Miami. Just like every time he was on the court, like Butler was like, I'm feasting on this guy. But offensively, if we keep moving the ball at that speed, I think he's got a lot to offer. He seems like his basketball IQ is going up too. Like, he shoots the correct shots. And again, he has been wide open for a shitload of them, but also he's moving the ball really well, and he's playing really well with Tatum and Brown. So yeah, I have no more complaints about Payton Pritchard. I still do worry about him in certain playoff defensive.
We can hide him so well. That's the thing. It's like,
we did a good job of that, especially in the finals. We did a really good job of that because having Kyrie guard him or go up against him isn't the end of the world size wise. Like, you're kind of living with what you get, right? Or same with Brunson. It's like, all right, well, a lot of guys are going to probably cook him. If the switch happens, it happens. It's not as annoying as when Horford gets switched to a guy at the perimeter and we don't do anything about it. So it's fine. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Well, it's like,
But even with that,
when you have Derek White and Drew Holiday as your two defensive guards, it's a lot easier to hide someone like Payton Pritchard. You know what I mean? It's especially.
Yeah. Yeah. He also adds so much speed, I think, to the transition play that it can be worth it. It's starting to slowly kind of like tilt a little bit where his upside sort of is starting to outweigh his downside, which I guess is really perfect timing for a guy on his career trajectory, right? Like where he is. Also, he's kind of an underrated dribbler, I have to say. He does have a little bit of like white boy dribbles about him. Like he can kind of do a little behind the back stuff. You can tell he learned it like on his own in his driveway because like
probably
whatever, but
it.
like
you
know what I mean? It's like, okay, you can kind of do stuff
back in the
you know.
day.
Yeah, watching fucking White Chocolate. And like that's cool, you know.
I mean, no, I mean that's for sure. I mean, he's also from the Pacific Northwest, so it's like he's 25, 26, so and he's from Oregon, so he grew up watching Dame, right? He grew up watching Dame. So, and I think every time he plays Dame, he looks to go off, which is why we saw the other night. We had a couple of moments like that when Dame was still in Portland. So I think that's what he does. But between him, like I said, houses look good. So yeah, like everybody has given something positive to this early start. So I'm excited to see how they get better as the season goes on.
I like when Pritchard and Hazard are out there at the same time. I call it the Leave It to Beaver lineup.
Okay,
it works.
Works. Yeah, I mean, hey, they out there. It's real honest shooting.
Yeah, right. Real high IQ. First guy in the gym. Fucking Luke Cornett. That thing he does where he jumps up straight in the air like 6 feet from guys still works. Yeah, just declaring that.
The
Cornett force field.
Yep, the Cornett Cortez. Yep, exactly. So he's been great too. So
looks a little bit better. I mean, I know we're doing that thing where we've like adjusted back from playoff basketball to regular season basketball. So we're like, whoa, remember Luke Cornett? But at the same time, like I'm less concerned 4 games in or 2 weeks in than I was last year about our bench depth. I also like Tillman, and I like I know we've made fun of him, but I like Downs as well. And I think we're okay. Honestly, I think we're okay down the stretch. I know you had a question about adding guys. I mean, I couldn't think of any like needs.
Yeah.
Like right now, so
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. Actually, no, we can stay there. Actually, so not necessarily adding guys. It was more so because like Hauser just came back in tonight's game against Indiana. Just a real time update. It looks like that might be their first loss tonight. Indiana's currently up. I think I last checked it was 96 to 78. So, and that's the thing, right? People have been wondering like, what's the chink in the armor? Like, how are you going to beat the Celtics? You just have to hope that they're not making shots, and tonight they're not making shots. So Indiana is revved up, but they were revved up against them in the regular season last year. And then, because the big guy they missed last year that, people forgot about because he got injured early on was Benedict Mathurin. That brother can hoop. He's in that J.R. Smith, Jordan Clarkson type mode as far as the scorer. That brother can go. And, we were worried about Aaron Nemhart and some other guys, but Benedict Mathurin is someone who can really hoop. He's showing it tonight. I think he got 23 and counting right now off the bench. So, and that was supposed to be their advantage coming into that series last year anyways, but they were missing some guys there. So,
did we lose Lonnie Walker?
Technically, because he was signed to an Exhibit 10 deal. So basically, basically it was just something where he was basically just getting a tryout because no other team had signed him. So
I would have kept him.
Right, but what happened was because he was on that type of deal, had they signed him to a standard deal, he would have got the veteran minimum, which is like 2.1 or 2.2, or 2.2 million, excuse me. That would have the key tax would have been money wise. It would have cost them 6 or 7 million to even keep it. So they just wasn't going to do that this moment, especially for a guy that may not play.
Yeah, I guess it's just that I just like his game.
Oh no, he did really well. He did really well in the preseason, but
Couldn't we have sent him to the G League and then not gotten
well,
not
that's
gotten
so if he cleared the waivers, which I believe he did, 'cause I don't think any team picked him up, he's able to go down to our G League affiliate, which is in Maine, and then they can bring him back up for games throughout the year. So I'm hoping that's the case, and I hope that he use that showcase as a way to get back to the league full time because there's only 450 jobs, but he definitely is worth a spot on any roster. I just didn't want him going to another contender and then being someone of good use to someone else instead of us. So yeah, so hopefully he gets out of the G League, gets a chance to play down
That
there
would be cool.
with Drew and those guys, yeah, and come back doing this thing. So I wanted to speak about some other contenders. So I think Bobby, you brought it up. So they beat Milwaukee obviously the other night, 119-108. Opening night, ring night. They beat New York Knicks.
Those outfits are fresh, huh?
Yeah, crazy, right? 132 to 109. So, Bobby, I'll start with you on this one, but just those matchups, obviously those both came in wins. But did those matchups change anything about, and you might even know it was early, about who could be contenders in the East to them?
Neither of them can contend with the Celtics. And I think that just solidifies it right there. I mean, you remember what those battles with the Bucks used to be like compared to what it looked like the other night. It's night and day. You know what I mean? Like you guys remember the series against the Bucks where it felt like it was a track meet where literally every single one of us was absolutely exhausted by the end of that series. Celtics see it.
So emotionally and physically exhausted.
That's what I mean. It was
Series.
so exhausting. But the Celtics just imposed their will.
It's like Giannis'
But
fault.
the Celtics imposed their will on Giannis now. I mean, even Derek White's out there blocking Giannis shots, and it's just a different team than it used to be. When they're facing these guys, and I think even winning that championship kind of gave them even more confidence that these guys can't stick with them anymore. You know what I mean? And I think it's so evident and clear when you watch them play these contenders. It's wild the difference just in the level of
Right.
how badly they beat these teams and how convincing it is on a nightly basis. I mean, tonight is different, obviously, but the first two at least.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think I split them up a little bit in my head now. Weirdly, the Knicks and the Bucks. I feel like we match up better against the Knicks than they thought we would when they went and got their guy. Only because it's still impossible to compete with us 1-5. I mean, I know it sounds arrogant. I know that like we're a year away from being like, I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of the fucking flaws, but like, quite frankly, like was all just trauma, I think. And I think a lot of those demons were excised. And as far as the Knicks and the Bucks go, like the Bucks just trended in the wrong direction, like I think they just made a mistake making that trade for Dame and giving up Drew Holiday. I think that they had a core that could win because they did. And the real problem they had there, unfortunately, I hate to say it, was they were depending on a guy in Chris Middleton that has a job wearing sweatsuit on the sidelines for the Milwaukee Bucks right now. My nephew plays on a soccer team with his nephew, so I refrain from, bashing the guy. It's not his fault that he's injured. I was always scared of him when he was playing against us, especially in playoff situations. Like he really did cause nightmares to our wings when he was out there and playing his best. But that was the problem they needed to address. Drew Holiday was not broken and didn't need fixing. He was one of my favorite point guards, and it was insane that we got him. So, defensively, they've left themselves open to like huge liabilities. So, I understand the idea of going to get Doc Rivers to try to peg those holes, but Doc Rivers seems like suicidal coaching this team, to be quite honest with you. Like he just wants to he wants out. I'm surprised he's still there, to be totally honest with you.
That 3-pointer that Pritchard hit at the end of the third,
and his hands just on his
knees. He has his head bowed like he's in prayer, was unreal.
That poor fucking bastard's going through it, man.
I was like, wow. But to me, they're kind of like they're the Denver Nuggets of the East, right?
The Nuggets are way fucking better than them.
So no, but what I mean by that is that, yeah, I think roster wise, absolutely right. They're better. But what I mean is they both look sluggish so far, right? And yes, Giannis and Jokic are both playing both out of their minds. Like that's a given.
Jokic looks even scarier.
Yeah, I mean, but I can't even say looking scary because I'm just like him getting 29, 16, and 13. You're like, it's like okay, because like we've seen it. So
Right.
you're like,
I know,
and
but the eye
that's
test on him.
wild to say because of how
I
good
know.
he's been. But you're
I
like,
know.
okay, when he gets there, you're like, that's something that he's done 1,000 times. So
There's a thing though. There's like a thing watching him this season, like the way he's moving, like the way he's creating space. It's the game looks so insanely easy for him. I think he's getting those numbers still with 75% of the effort. To be
yeah,
totally honest with you, like I
yeah.
think
I
he's
mean,
doing that, and it's easier for him.
he looks like he's lost a little bit of weight too. So I think
Yeah,
that helps.
he's having
Obviously.
his way with people passing wise. Everybody moves at his tempo now. I mean, I know that was always a kind of a signifier of that team and like why they were
Mhm.
good and why they won. But like everybody really moves at his tempo. You know, the pick and rolls, everything that's going on. I'm still the most scared of them. You know, I know they've looked sluggish, but I'm still the
I
most
feel
scared
like
of them.
we
Of
were so
Yeah.
yeah, we
we
were
were
so
lucky they
lucky
didn't with the
last year
England
that
team
we didn't have
in
to
the
play
final
them.
last year.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I
But
still think we would have won. I
I
still think we would have won.
But I'm like, I mean, I was just about to say, like, I just feel like they literally ran on the gas, which is why Minnesota ended up smacking them in Game 7. Like, they just didn't have it, right?
But
And
Minnesota were matched
they've
up
been on a
so
run,
perfectly against them, though, too. You know,
right?
like
But
they both,
they've been on a really good run the last 4 to 5 years. And I think me and you, Dave, we did the show. But I feel like we talked every Minnesota game in the playoffs. We said, I don't know which one of us said it. I can't remember, but we compared it to the Pistons run in the late 80s, early 90s. Like that was a team that went to 3 straight finals, had been to some conference finals as well, obviously. And after a while, they just ran out of gas. And that's what Denver looked like last year. So like I said, we'll see if they're able to get back to at least the conference finals. This year, but as far as Milwaukee goes, man, I don't know. I just think to me, like I said, they got all super quick. To me, they may have to move off Brook Lopez because to me, Bobby Portis is a much better option, especially in today's game than Brook Lopez. And I get it.
I've always
The
had
three,
a soft spot for Brook Lopez as a
no,
player, though.
no, I like his game. I just think that the 3-point shot obviously extended his career. Like obviously, like that goes without being said. I just don't know if he can move well enough to still be a starter in the league. Once again, I think that he can help somebody off the bench somewhere, but to be
He
someone,
doesn't. He's not like part of the trifecta that they're trying to go for, and they're
yeah,
trying
no,
to
no,
convince
not, no,
themselves that
not
he
at all.
is. I think.
And,
I think
yeah,
that they think he's the third guy in their big three, and he just isn't.
no, not
Um,
at all. And once again, he's done really well since being there. Like he's been,
I like him.
yeah, been a really good rim protector. Once again, it would have been a lot scarier had they had New Jersey net Brook Lopez because they might have won a couple.
I mean, he was an
To
all-star.
be honest, but he like I said, he's played his role there really well. And yeah, as like I said, I still think that they both, meaning Milwaukee and New York will still be contenders. I had told someone earlier off the air, I really like the Orlando Magic. I do. I know.
Man,
Montero,
they're so fun.
Listen, Paolo Banchero is coming. Like, if people don't think, I was like, he had 50, 13, and 9 the other night. I was like, listen,
So is
he's
Wemby, though.
both of them,
yeah,
man. Both
I know. But I'm
those two
saying,
guys this season are going to take. Yeah.
not gonna see Wemby. Well, yeah, we're not going to see Wemby 4 times a year, but to
True.
see Banchero 4 times a year, and then like I said, we may see them in the playoffs. I think they'd give Boston all they can
I
handle.
think Paolo's already given us problems. He's already given us
Yeah,
problems.
for sure.
You know,
And
he's only
he-
better now. So.
he's also mad. One, he's mad that how they lost in Game 7 to Cleveland, and then 2, he got left off the team too in the Olympics
Interesting.
because and once again, as much as I like Tyrese Halliburton, you're not telling me that he's better than Paolo Banchero. No way, not right now, anyways. No way. So I
It
think
felt like a lot of good old boys calls happening in that.
oh, for
roster.
sure. And once again, that's cool, but I think Banchero is one of
They
the guys.
won, so it is kind of
Yep.
But
So no, it's all good. So we'll leave that there. So I want to bring it back to the Celtics. So obviously, Porzingis is out. He actually did some running around in Indiana, so he looked pretty mobile today. So hopefully that he's on the track, to recovery. That's going well. So obviously he's still out to at least some Christmas. So Dave, I'll start with you. Actually, Bobby, I'll start with you. What
Yeah,
what a cock tease.
what a cock tease, right? When right, bring it back, right? Big market cheese. But would you rather see them keep playing perimeter guys more while Porzingis is out, or do you want to see more of a big lineup until Porzingis is back?
Exactly what they're doing. 4-0 to start the season, and not only that, I mean, Joe at this point doesn't seem like he can do anything wrong. So I want Joe to do whatever the hell he wants to do at this point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
He's out of his mind.
And
the more I hear him talk, the more I realize he
but I
lives
love
on a
him,
different
man.
planet.
The more I hear him talk, the more I love him. And especially, do you hear the fighting comment too, where he's saying he wants to bring fighting back into the NBA? Like that's that shit, man. That like I didn't know Joe had in him from the very beginning. You know what I mean? That like all the time that we were ragging on him, I didn't know Joe had that side to him. And I just feel like the more
well, that's because he was
the
like,
more comfortable he's gotten,
wide-eyed like a scared fucking.
The more comfortable he's gotten, he's
better for sure.
Well, and I mean, hindsight's 2020. I'll let you finish your point, but hindsight's 2020. But I felt like we have not seen Brad Stevens make a bad move as GM, right? So when he appointed Joe Mazzulla as head coach, we should have known eventually it was going to work. We should have, but we didn't because we just thought, we was like, fuck, we're not going to win right now. We need to win now. Like, not a guy that was brand new, that was an assistant coach, but we should have known that they saw something that was going to say, hey, you know, this guy could be the guy to lead us going forward. So, but
no, I mean, and just around, I mean, you ask if they should play more perimeter guys. I think they should play whoever the hell Joe wants to play. You know what I mean? Like, yes, they should play more perimeter guys because that's the type of ball that Joe wants to play. So, yeah, for sure.
I kind of agree. I mean, I echo the sentiment of letting Joe decide, even in a more practical sense, because I think he's been doing good situational substitutions actually deeper into the bench. I think that like he's just looking at guys right now and it like in different situations. And I want to see him too. I want to see him in different positions doing whatever. And then I think as we get into the meat of the season, we should be watching minutes with our rotation. So, you know, if we get to December and Porzingis is back, do I want to see him play more than 11 minutes a night for the first like chunk of that up till Christmas, right? Probably not. How do we make that happen? So, you know, if we're going to have him as a plug and play guy on the night, then yeah, I probably want to see more like for like substitutions, like a Tillman, big body backing him up, a guy that we do rotate in because we're going to try to keep his minutes limited until we get to the playoffs. Right now, I don't think it matters as much because he's nowhere to be found, you know, on the court, which is great. I mean, take your time. We're doing fine without you, except for tonight. And now I think it's just like use those extra minutes, your banked minutes, to like look at who you want to look at. Rotate more guards, I think, because I think you want, when you play the lesser teams early in the season, you want to really just be kind of getting into your execution every time, right? So in situations when you want your front court to be executing and scoring, which is a lot of the Celtics scoring, as we all know, most of it, honest, then you get the younger guards in there. You get the what's the ball guy's name? Walsh. You get him in there. Yeah, he's missing like big wide open threes, which I saw people were mad at, but I think he played with a lot of energy. I think Jaylen Brown shouted that out. I agreed with it at the time when I was watching it. You know, offensive rebounds from guys that are trying to become role players on a team, like I would start there. I would start with defense. I would start, you know, for where he is in his growth, he couldn't be in a better place surrounded by better guards and basketball players to emulate. So, you know, I want to see more of him. At the same time, I also want to see situational, rotational stuff for when we do eventually have a fully healthy team. And I would just like to say, and I know we said this all last year, it's insane that we bring Porzingis back into this team. When he played the very little that he played in the postseason last year, there was glimpses of like one of the best teams I've ever seen. And I'm not being hyperbolic. It looked absolutely fucking bananas when he was in there. So like, it's just insane. And like on that note, I just wanted to get this one last thing out. When you earlier, Ray, you said the Bucks or the Nuggets remind you of the Pistons from our younger days, where, you know, they won one and you're thinking they maybe should have won more, but like circumstantially, whatever. I thought to myself, what do the Celtics look like? And I'm not saying Joe Mazzulla's pop, but I was like, the Spurs.
We are very Spurs.
I'm not saying pop. I'm not.
Listen, I would gladly take Tatum having a Tim Duncan type career. Absolutely.
No shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, 2-time MVP, 5-time champion. Absolutely.
I think Tim Duncan quietly, by the way, I think Tim Duncan might have been the best player we watched up until LeBron James. I think a lot of these GOAT conversations happen and people say things about Kobe Bryant and like RIP, no disrespect. Tim Duncan was a fucking problem. If you watched him growing up, like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't remember anyone ever getting him like one-on-one at that position. Garnett couldn't. Like, and he was one of my favorite players. I mean,
and quick aside before we get into some football, but listen, from day one, he was the guy, and they made the playoffs his first year, and they faced Phoenix in the first round. And at that time, Phoenix had Jason Kidd. I don't know if Dan Marley was on the team then, but they had some decent players still there. And Harvard Williams was someone that had been in the league for a minute, and they had Harvard Williams guarding him one-on-one. And, Kevin Harlan, who, many NBA fans know and love now as an announcer. Obviously, this is almost 30 years ago, so he was a lot younger. But he's giving the call, and he's giving that call what it deserves. Dunk it on the inside, dunk it on the outside, and someone young shall lead them. Timeout, Phoenix. And it's just like he was giving them whatever he wanted. And Harvard Williams couldn't do nothing. Harvard Williams wasn't no scrub. He couldn't do nothing. He's literally looking at the bench like, what can I do? So yeah, that to me is not a far-fetched statement. People will hear this when it comes out and say, how can you feel that way? But it's like, look, if you look at the numbers and you look at what he did from day one, we can say we want about Pop, we can say about David Robinson and other guys that can't.
But much like the Celtics team,
was the guy.
I think he was maligned for being on a good team. I think he was underappreciated for being on.
They wasn't good. They were decent. They were decent. And then they got he made them. They went from good to elite with him. Elite. Once again,
they already had David Robinson.
Right. But they made the conference finals and lost to Houston, that who became the champions, right? And then they tanked so they could get Tim Duncan. I don't blame them.
Should have been us.
Really should have been us. Should have been us. That lottery, man.
It's okay.
If we got him, we would have dominated every decade.
Yeah. Rick, that's why Rick Pitino.
And like I said, it's funny.
Came to Boston in the first place. He thought we were getting Duncan.
No facts, but think about that.
Yeah.
It would have been. Well, I mean, he ended up dropped Chauncey and Ron Mercer. But
Chauncey's actually
think about a young Antoine.
Right,
think about exactly. Young Antoine. You get Tim Duncan the next year, and then the next year would have been Paul.
Imagine.
Woo. I mean that. Oh my God! And then with Kenny,
I think we win in 04. I think we win in 04 if that happens.
They may even win sooner than that. I'm like, remember the year we lost to the Nets. I think we beat that Nets team with those guys there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Jay Kidd.
We would.
He was.
I know, but Tim
Duncan. Yeah.
Woo, that would be fun.
Basketball boners. I'm gonna go play that NBA mode where you draft whoever you want.
Yeah, that 90s mode is the best one.
Yeah, that would be fun to see for sure. When it gets back to the summertime, I think we're gonna have a few what if type of shows where it's like talking about those fun scenarios. But yeah, no. But like, listen, to wrap that up, like I said, they've been killing it. Like I said, obviously, looks like they're gonna get their first L tonight. But like I said, the thing is with the Celtics, you have to hope they don't shoot well in order to beat them. They did not shoot well. I am concerned a little bit about how teams are getting into the paint against them, but obviously that changes once number 8 comes back because he helped the defense dramatically. So they got to find ways to scheme the defense better that teams are not going into the lane and kind of keeping it close when they're shooting all those threes. So, but either way, Celtics are killing it. They're doing great.
81-1.
I love it. Yeah. So you say what?
81-1.
81-1. That's right. Still on the table. So something that's not on the table. it's not 17-0. So we're gonna go and get into some football. But hey, cue up the Duck Bulls, baby. New England gets their second win of the year. They essentially end the Jets season. They win in Foxborough Sunday 25-22. Drake Maye only threw for 23 yards because he got lost to the concussion protocol, but he did have a nice rushing touchdown in there. Dave, I'll start with you, man. But did you like the response to them being caught up? And obviously, Jerod Mayo had called him soft the week prior after that loss in London. So did you like the response to them being called out, or was this more about the Jets being a complete dumpster fire?
Well, yeah, and yeah. I think that the Jets looked like shit. I think that Rodgers, like I said, hasn't been good in 3 years. I think that, like, way to get hurt, dude. And I think he's a kook. I think they let the criminals run the asylum over there, and the lunatics take over. And yeah, they are a dumpster fire. Like, I can't deny that. Is that why the Pats won? I mean, listen, I think divisional games show you a lot. I think in any situation, and I think, we're gonna do the power ranking show also on this feed if you guys want to check it out. And you'll see a lot of divisional games this past week, and you see these matchups make teams play a little outside themselves, do things a little bit differently than maybe they would normally because they see these teams a lot. Um, that being said, all those qualifiers, I thought the Pats looked good. I mean, if you didn't apply the context of all the other weeks of watching them play football, which unfortunately you have to,
Right.
you'd be like,
Yeah.
they're not bad. They're okay. They had their moments. And most notably, and I'm sorry, it's unfortunate that the concussion protocol thing happened. You never want to see the starting QB get blue tented, but I think he's kind of a baller, dude. To be honest with you, like, I just think he's got it. I think he's got those things. I think we might be early to say, but I think we might be in a very rich vein of quarterbacks right now in that draft class. I think they were right when they said that. And I was watching him ball out. And to me, if you knew nothing about football and you applied no context and you asked me which of those two quarterbacks I'd want, I would have said your guy. So yeah, I enjoyed how they played the game. Like they played well. They still had to beat them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Drake Maye, that dude is like DK just said, he's an absolute baller. The one thing that stood out to me in this game is, do you guys hear the stat that the the Jets had 250 yards passing, no turnovers, and I think it was multiple touchdowns, and no team ever have not lost that game. And they're the only ones that have ever lost a game in that circumstance.
Yeah, what was 750
until that game.
And the Patriots are the one this. We broke the streak, baby. with a new Brock Lesnar. Oh my God! What a joke! What a joke! What a joke! Like that. Like,
I mean, I'll also say though, like,
what can't happen?
As much as I was complimenting Drake Maye, and just on the opposite of that, like Jacoby Brissett came in and balled out too. Like he came in and he was like super consistent, super, and like that to me was like the kind of the cool performance watching that down the stretch where it was just like, oh look, Jacoby's back here, he's playing super consistently, like we saw him in week 1. Getting your tight ends involved. I mean, talk about a Patriot offense, right? Seeing Hooper and Henry combined for a lot of catches and a lot of yards. That was nice. I just think that they played not as bad. Their offense this season isn't as bad as it's been in the past few years. I'll say that. I think that there's notable improvements on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that is you should, I think, credit your coaches for that. And, I know that last week it was very doom and gloom about the coaching staff, but I don't know, man. They had to do a lot to make sure that every piece happened and was ready for that game in particular. And like Brissett, I think coming in is a really big example of that. Like the guy was ready to go, like he came in and it looked pretty seamless. So I give the coaches a lot of credit for that. I mean, we see that the guy's not getting by on his athleticism. You know what I mean? So like obviously the scheming is working to a certain degree.
If the Pats
can't hate that, right?
If the Pats could catch too, they would have won that game easily. There's multiple big plays where booty drop balls. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's my biggest issue right now with that wide receiver room. Is like, I do think there's some guys that have talent there for sure. Obviously they just have to develop, but you cannot look like me at the YMCA playing flag football and be out there on the field trying to make plays and then say that you have the best hands in the league. No, like Drake Maye was literally throwing darts and hitting guys in what they call the bread basket, and guys were just literally dropping it, right? But to your point, Dave, about Jacoby Brissett, Yeah, I mean, listen, no one has slandered his name, his character, than the man that you hear right now coming through your airwaves. But yeah, give credit where it's due. He showed up, he stepped up, and I thought that the biggest improvement I saw with him on Sunday was that he made quick decisions, right? I think sometimes when you get a chance to step back and kind of watch the game from the sideline, you can kind of see like, oh, okay, if I make this throw here, I might get this first down. Or if I run when the guys are, turning their back to me, I can get a 5 or 6 yard gain. So I think that's what he went
Phoenix
back.
fixed that early, yeah.
Yeah, he went back to that, and we what he did in week 1, like you said. So yeah, I was pleased with that. I'm glad that he won and had that game winning drive, because that was something that has been elusive here. Once again, that's something that used to be a regular thing here. That if you was down, I think about that Saints game years ago against Breeze. I think about the Payton Manning game when they were down 24-0. Like there's so many times you could go back. The Buffalo Bills game on Monday night where they scored 2 touchdowns in like a minute and 30 seconds. So that used to be a thing where you didn't think about them losing. It was like, okay, like they're gonna find a way to come back. So it was cool to actually see them get a winning home, because they haven't won since last year at home. So that was it. That was good to see them pick that up. But I don't know. I'm just like it's hard for me. But I want to get back to Drake Maye, because obviously he left in the left because of the concussion protocol. But would you want to see him play next week against against Tennessee, or would you wait until Chicago? So Dave, I'll let you answer that first.
I would probably bench him. Just better safe than sorry on the concussion stuff, if you ask me. You're going to need him.
He's your quarterback. He's the guy. He's the one that you drafted 3rd overall. He's not, you know what I mean? It's Jacoby Brissett out there.
Well, yeah.
I think you can beat Tennessee without Jacoby Brissett, and I think the season looks a lot sunnier all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but it looks sunnier, but then it's like we can come to Soldiers Field and get beat by 20. So, but
worry.
What's up?
New and magical ways to fuck things up.
Well, we'll speak about that coming soon. They've already but no. Let's once again. It's a happy moment for now, but I would sit him as well. Honestly, I just think that if you can't,
they're safe and sorry, man. Not against the Titans. Who gives
yeah,
a shit?
Great. They just gave a 50 piece to Detroit.
Plus,
that was
at this point, if you beat the Titans, that could cost you Travis Hunter in the end. You know what I mean? The Titans are going to be winning many more games this season. You guys aren't going to be winning many more games this season. So
I don't even know.
I think it'd be in your best interest to sit them.
But the thing is,
I think that ship's already sailed, dude. I don't think that they're worse than the Panthers, and I don't think that they're worse.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, so I'm not. Once again,
I think they're going to draft 3rd overall again. Maybe
Travis Hunter and Will Campbell obviously are the other 2 of the blue chip prospects in their draft. But if you fall down to 8 or 9 or even 10 and get the other lineman from Texas, Banks. Like if you get him, cool. I just know it's either you get a guy in the top 10 or you trade for an overhaul. Like I know, to me, I just feel like you have to find a way.
What does free agency look like for your line though?
I'm not sure.
Honestly, so much salary cap.
I don't. Yeah, I mean they do have a good amount of money to spend, or that they're able to spend. But to me, it goes back to what I've been saying. If free agents don't see that you're building towards something, why would they want to come?
But that's the thing. So you want to win a couple more games. You want to show the market that you have. You might not be in. I think you might have already made your top 3 pick, right? And I think that if he can play that consistently down the stretch for you guys, there is a chance you're looking at the 7th or 8th pick. But that's not necessarily the end of the world, despite what you were saying coming out of the offseason, where everybody wanted like the 2nd or even the 1st, right? It doesn't look like you're that bad. And I think if May does come in and start to win, maybe from the Chicago game onwards, hopefully, I don't think you're in a bad mood about having the 8th pick or the 9th pick. I think and the free agency looks a lot more optimistic too, right?
Oh, and let me be clear, that's really the path I desire. I would just resign to the fact that they were going to be in the top 3 because of how bad it looked, obviously, going into this game. So,
I'm not sure who's going to be
you know,
like an unrestricted free agent this season, but if
mhm.
you're in a position to, I would overpay for a wide receiver one, and I would overpay for a left tackle if those guys are available. I would pay those guys a little more than market value
Right.
and to get them onto your team immediately.
And once again, I don't know who that would be. I don't know if
Me
they. I
neither.
mean, I don't know if like can you get a Houston type deal where you get a Larry Tunsil? Can you do something like that? Like that would be awesome. But it's just a matter of can you do that? So I don't know if a guy they traded a couple of years ago would be available. Shaq Mason, who was a really good right guard here in his time here. Uh, can you see if you get a healthy Cole Strange next year? Can he be essentially the replacement for David Andrews? Because I think David Andrews is probably going to retire within the next year or so. So he's starting to get there in age. So and Cole Strange, uh, to me, doesn't fit what a guard looks like, but he does. He's small enough and in stature to be what a center is. So maybe he's the guy that replaces David Andrews there. So yeah, they have a lot of things to iron out and at that level. I just once again, to me, a majority of their picks should be linemen, whether it's on defense or offense. I just think that that's where they have struggled the most. Once again, we hope that Barmore can come back healthy. You may lose Dietrich Wise soon because he might be someone that the team looks at and say, hey, he could be good in situational downs. So yeah, so I mean, they just traded Josh Uche to the Chiefs. We got a 6th rounder for him. So maybe if apparently he fell out of favor here because we were wondering in the chat why he got dealt to Kansas City, but I guess he fell out of favor. But I'm positive he's gonna do well there because moves like that is what New England used to do, right? Go get a Kyle Van Noy, go get a guy that wasn't doing so well elsewhere. He comes to you and becomes a guy, becomes a staple of the defense. So I'm already sick thinking about it, but it is it is what it is. So but just for I think Dave, you just brought it up. So Bobby, I'll let you answer this as well. But do you think that they could be buyers at the trade deadline? So we have another week or so because I think the trade deadline is November 5th. So would you want them to go build and get somebody right now that they can have kind of cost control over, or do you think they should wait until free agency to try to
No,
build
you
that
gotta
way?
wait till free agency. There's no reason to. You're already dealing pieces off. Why would you go out and start acquiring things if you would have to give up draft picks in order to get it when you can just do it in free agency this upcoming season? I mean,
Yeah,
um, unless you can get a number one wide receiver like DK said. If there's a guy like, I mean, there's a guy
yeah,
like T Higgins is a upcoming wide receiver free agent. So you're looking at guys like that for this upcoming year. You know what I mean?
Not a wide receiver one, in my opinion.
Wide receiver 1.5.
yeah.
Not a guy to build
But
around.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, one
But
B.
there's guys like that coming up in free agency. So I mean, is it worth it to deal out a draft pick when you know that that's how you want to build this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Evan Lazar, who was caught a lot of heat up here from that mutiny report that he made a few weeks ago, and him and Mike Giardi were having a back and forth, through the media last week after that loss in London, or 2 weeks ago after that loss in London. He actually used Dave's Bears. He said Bears were 2-6 last year, and they traded their second pick for Montez Sweat, and now Montez Sweat is killing it over there in Chicago. So he was like, they knew that Montez Sweat could be a part of the future, so they went and got him. And I'm like, why not do the same thing? Because your second round picks haven't been working here. So if you could trade a second and go get someone that's going to be a part of your team going forward, why not? Why not do it now? So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a really good point because my usual instinct is to, if you're going to be a trade deadline or a week of trading team, I think you should, rule of thumb, be a team that's over 500 and looking to add that last piece a lot of the time, right? Because you're not looking at the off season, you're looking at the end of the season, right? So if you're one of those teams, I think you should be in the market right now heavily. I mean, it's not anything new to talk about the Detroit Lions, trying to go get a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby and mortgaging their future for it. A lot of people want them to because they're one Max Crosby away probably from being the best team in the NFL. A situation like this with the Pats, I don't know if a Montez Sweat is a common occurrence, right? It took the commander, the I can't even say their name after last week. It took another organization.
The football team.
Took another organization in the NFL. It took the football team to sort of like weirdly tank and start selling off pieces. It was a really weird and specific situation, so I'm not really sure you can bring it up as like an overall rule of thumb. I don't know. I would have to take it to the free agency. I really would if I was New England, because I just think you should have all your assets right now. And I think that like trading at the deadline is a sort of, you're a little bit more up against it, you know? And I think right now what they need to do is have a long war room with all their assets on the table and figure out where they're going to go from, you know, the off season onward. And I think that they have the guy to play quarterback, which is half the fucking battle. So now you just build around that. And I think the off season with a little room and a little time to think is probably the time to do that.
Yeah, no, totally valid. Anything else you want to add, Bobby? Before we move on. Yeah, so but yeah, I like I said, to me, I just think like because there is more than one way to build a team, I think that's something where I think they should at least have the conversation. Once again, if you don't,
I'm not saying the deal doesn't exist, right? You know, like I'm not saying there isn't, but I think that it needs.
No one's as good as Montez Sweat right now,
right? It's just like, wow, we got Montez Sweat. Holy shit, you know what I mean? Like, wow, the fact that like that guys like that aren't even really on the table at this point in the season. You know what I mean? Like that's not usually a thing that happens, I guess is my point. So if you can get a deal like that, great. But I think bringing it up as a rule of thumb from my man over there, I think that's a little disingenuous because like that happens like almost never.
Right.
Except I will say a lot of trades.
I think he was. And once again, I thought it was a good point to bring up because of the fact it's being the same. Like they were both.
I think a wide receiver would be your most likely thing because a lot of those guys are moving around right now, and there's no point in keeping a luxury salary on the books when you know you're not trying to win. So you know you can see Deontay Johnson getting traded to the Ravens, and it's like great, that works out for both sides because like the poor guy's not getting fed anything down there in Carolina. You know they're officially tanking, but also the Ravens fucking added another weapon. You know, so as wide receiver, a situation like that, like Bobby said, I think that's a really good call. I don't know if you're getting like an elite edge rusher 6 games into the season, you know, 8 games into the season.
I mean, and once again, maybe you get one of those mid-level type of receivers, right? I know they brought it up on Patriots, you know, trading like.
I really like Cooper Kupp for you guys when those rumors were happening.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, to me, I don't know. I feel like they'd be looking for more, meaning LA, to get back in return for Cooper Kupp, despite the injuries. Knowing our luck, the Patriots were going to go get Adam Thielen because it'd be super cheap to get him. Like you could legit give a 7th rounder to Carolina for Adam Thielen.
Discount Cooper Kupp. Discount Cooper Kupp and fucking.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is I feel like that's it. I just don't think that's realistic. They may ask for more. So asking for more, I don't see them giving up multiple picks for that because they shouldn't.
If you could legitimately go get Adam Thielen for like a 6th rounder right now, that would be so good for your room. Like just whatever he actually does on the field, like your wide receiver room seems to need a little bit of veteran leadership and a little bit of like watch the ball in your hands, dipshit kind of like energy. And I think that Thielen would actually be perfect. Honestly, by the way, you said my man's was talking about having the best hands in the league. I was trying to think when you said that, I was like, who does have the best hands in the league? And now, while I don't think he's the best wide receiver, I still do think that's Justin Jefferson. I think it's probably AJ Brown, right? Just on pure hands.
He's up there. He's up there.
Just pure hands though, like pure hands.
Like his
just
teammate
getting your
Devontae
hands on the ball
Smith
and
is
coming
pretty
out.
damn good hands too.
I mean, but yeah, both of them need to be the way fucking hurts.
All those Alabama guys do well. It's like it's crazy how they've been.
The thing is, it might also still be Justin Jefferson. Yeah, like on just pure hands too. So
that's it. But maybe I mean, and I don't know because I don't know what's. I feel like Seattle's kind of falling off. So I'm gonna say like maybe they look to trade like a Lockett or Jayson from Ohio State. I know they're not going to trade DK Metcalf, obviously. So
you guys adding it. I just don't see it. I just don't see them being aggressive like that.
Yeah. I mean, once again, I don't trust I don't trust them to get something done like that right now. Once again, maybe they come up with a better plan in the offseason to bring talent into the room, but it's been pretty scary or pretty.
I'm looking at a Reddit post from 2012 where they're talking about who has the best hands in the NFL. And goddamn, do we have a lot of good wide receivers now. I'm not saying these guys aren't good, but the conversations about like Nate Washington, Anquan Bolden, Like,
Anquan Bolden was nice.
Oh, I get it. I understand, but you're talking best in the league in 11 years ago. Like, I feel like I think we have a couple of Anquan Boldens now. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a few of those guys knocking around. So I don't know. The wide receiver class right now is pretty sick. It's pretty deep. I mean, you'll notice if you drafted wide receivers too early in the fucking.
Who would you rate equal to an Anquan Bolden? Would it be like an Amon-Ra St. Brown? Is that the tier now?
No, Anquan Bolden was a big.
I was thinking more like.
He's
such a slot guy, though, you know.
He's more of a slot guy though. But now, I mean, maybe now if you want to compare to maybe what Anquan was in Baltimore, I felt like he did more inside work there.
That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of the Baltimore Anquan.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So if that's the case, then yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean, he's in that mode.
Like a DeAndre Hopkins is kind of like that.
Yes.
But like,
Exactly. Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 years ago, DeAndre Hopkins was like pretty up there for me. I think he was. Like
he looked lost on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I said, we'll get into that.
We'll see. We'll get into that. I mean, Calvin Ridley on a good day. He's if he's really having a good.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. He cried for all that. Essentially, like they're gonna get me the ball so I can be into it. So
that's everybody receiver though.
But I'm saying you go 8 on 130, which is excellent numbers. But you get smoked by 37. So it's just like you got to have balance, big dog. But it is what it is. But speaking of Tennessee, that is the opponent that the Patriots have next weekend. Just Bobby, I'll start with you. But do you think that New England finds a way to win, or just what do you think happens? I know it's so bad, right?
I don't know about what DK was saying when he's saying that the Pats aren't still in the running for those top 3 picks. I personally think they are.
No, I didn't say they weren't in the running for the top 3 picks. I said that there's a chance that top 2. I think there's definitively 2 teams worse than them. I think Carolina and Tennessee are worse.
I think we'll find out on Sunday. Yeah. I mean, I think it's in your best interest to lose this game. That's where I'm at. I mean, I know that, you know what I mean?
You're probably right.
I feel like
you're probably right.
If you win this game, it's gonna be one of those when you come out around draft time, you're gonna be like, God damn, we should have lost that fucking game in Tennessee, because it's gonna cost you a Travis Hunter. It's gonna cost you one of those guys. So I mean, as much as I want to see Drake Maye because of how good he's looked, I think Jacoby Brissett's the guy you got to start in this game. As I just it has to happen.
They might still win though.
What?
It's not like they start Brissett and they lose automatically. Like they might still win. He looked decent in the second half against.
That's fair, the Jets. I'm just saying.
And the Titans are terrible. Like they're really bad. So I don't know. I think if the Titans get the second overall pick, I think they'll deserve it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they haven't been number 2. This is they picked. Bijan went 3rd that year, but that's the last time they had it picked that high. Jake Locker, he had it in 2011.
Vincian?
It's up there.
Yeah, maybe it's up there. It's up there. That'd be another good show to go through that. See what
automatic curses.
Automatic curses.
It kind of fell off in the last 10 years.
What's the worst one?
I feel like it's that
Vic,
one.
Yeah,
Vic
was pretty
memorably bad.
Ray Lewis had one too.
Ray Lewis. Alexander. I think he was out for the year.
Peyton Hillis was never heard of again
on the Seahawks. Peyton Hillis was
never heard of again.
He had one season and then he just disappeared.
The Walmart Mike Allstott. Jeez.
Walmart Mike Allstott. I like that.
What a name drop there. Nice flights, Bobby. Nice.
There you go. We just did the Madden Curse show. Well,
that was it.
Welcome to the Madden Curse show.
Welcome to the Madden Curse show. Yeah, get a little bit of everything. So, but no, cool. We can definitely leave that there. So let's get into the Week 9 picks. So starting off tomorrow, it might continue to stay spooky for those New York Jets. So Texans come into the Meadowlands. So what do we got here?
Did you see that the Jets are favored in this game somehow? How is that possible? And
no, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. There's no way.
Dude, that can't possibly be
actual. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, the 2 point favorites, bro.
I can't believe that. I'm going to put my whole
Swear on
life
my
savings
life.
on that.
Swear on my life.
How?
Makes no sense.
That's so crazy.
Insane. But no, I mean, listen, the Texans are gonna win. Come on. Like there's no I won't say there's no way because there's always a way.
How are they not? How are the Jets the favorites here? They are. That's bananas.
Yeah, that
Oh
unbelievable.
man,
No,
I feel sorry. I feel like I gotta go gamble right now.
yeah. Houston should win that one going away. We talked about Patriots, Titans already. Like I said, I got Tennessee winning that one though. Tennessee's gonna find a way to win that one, even after coming off a bad loss. But
are they starting?
Start with you, Bob. Next one.
Starting Rudolph or Levis? Are they starting Rudolph or Levis next week?
I don't think it matters. What's funny is that
it matters. If Will Levis starts a game of football for you, you lose that game.
That's a fair statement.
I mean, Mason Rudolph is not someone really around. Like when your most famous moment is someone about to hit you with a helmet, you're not that guy. So it's cool. But next game on the 1 o'clock slate, you got the Cowboys going into Atlanta. So Bobby, your floor is yours, brother. Tell us why Dallas is gonna go in there and find a way to win.
They're not. Dallas is not winning this game. I've lost all faith. Yeah, I think the Falcons. Are we good? You got. I
Dave.
Yeah, I'll take the Falcons here.
I think the Falcons win this game. Dak Prescott is not doing anything this season, dude. He's lost.
We'll save your detailed analysis for the power rankings.
Right. Yeah. So next we have the Shannon Sharp Bowl. We got the Broncos going into Baltimore. Once again, you don't know what type of team Baltimore's they're going to be. They are kind of a Jekyll and Hyde. I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna say Denver goes in there and finds a way to win.
I mean, they keep doing it. They won 5 games. I can't really understand how, but no, I'm still taking the Ravens. They're not going to go on a 2-game skid. Worst time to get the Ravens is a bounce back game.
We already saw the Ravens game of the Ravens, which was last week.
No doubt. So next we have AFC matchup. So we have AFC East matchup. Excuse me. We have the Dolphins going into the Bills. I mean, I know Tua came back. I'm still nervous about how he's going to look going forward. I just want him to be healthy as possible, so that he can just play the game that he loves, but also more importantly take care of his family. I say that to say I got Buffalo. Dave, what about you?
Yeah, Buffalo are going to stomp them. They look good. They can score. They can move the ball. Buffalo.
Cool. Next, this is going to be one of the worst games of the weekend. Saints going into Carolina. I mean, by default, I picked the Saints. It's like
sure,
but by default, I picked the Saints. They're both terrible.
It happens. It's not going to come up on red zone, so
right. So
let's take the Saints too. Why not?
Yeah. So next it'd be the Raiders going into Cincinnati. So Bobby, who you got
I'm
in that
go
one?
Cincinnati in this one. I know they've looked shitty lately, but I mean it's the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders are terrible. I didn't like Cincinnati last week, but I mean they still have Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and they still have Bengals.
Right. So next on the 1 o'clock slate, we got the Chargers versus the Browns. I'm here for the Jameis hype. I'm here for it. I thought he was awesome last week, so I'm riding with Cleveland.
Yeah, they should have done it 3 weeks ago before Deshaun's ankle exploded. I'll take the Chargers though. I like how they're looking defensively. I think they're looking solid. I think Harbaugh's been he's getting better and better week by week. So I'll take the Chargers.
Go with Chargers too. Harbaugh, he's got that team rolling.
Gotcha. Next, so we got the Commanders versus the Giants. Bobby, go first on that one.
Much to DK's dismay, I'm gonna go with the Commanders, or as he calls them.
I'm not mad at the Commanders. I'm mad at the Bears. I'll take the Commanders too.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we're going with the Commanders as well. And then into the 4 o'clock slate. So here you go. We got Bears versus Cardinals. So Dave, I'll start with you on that one.
Cardinals. Bears are shit. Fuck them.
You're that mad?
Don't mean that. Take it back.
I'm furious.
Oh my God. No, I get it though, but once again, I don't trust Kyler Murray. I'm gonna go with Chicago.
All right.
All right. So next on the 4 o'clock slate, so we have.
Bobby, you got Chicago?
I got
Oh,
Chicago.
you got
I got
who you
Chicago.
pick? Sorry, I thought you. Yes, okay.
Whatever.
So next,
They got no in this game. They have to. That's why. Because they got the strongest schedule. They got the
I don't
strongest
care what they do.
schedule. You're just done.
I don't give a shit what they do. Fuck those guys.
That's gonna be such a good show. All right, but all right. So we have the Jaguars versus the Eagles. Philly seems to be waking up. You know, because they've got healthy. So I'm gonna ride with Philly here on this one.
Yep.
Yeah, me too. Jaguars are terrible.
Cool. And this may be the game of the weekend here. So we have Lions versus Packers. I'm gonna go with Detroit though. I'm gonna go with Detroit.
Same. They look like a wagon. They're out of control.
Not on fire. They're on fire right now. So
the Packers didn't look that good. Barely beating the
defense
Jaguars.
that can figure out how to stop them. No, it's the Packers defense. Packers defense looks pretty good this year. But I'm still going with
fuck them too.
Yep. And then next we have the Rams versus the Seahawks. I'm gonna go with Seattle there on that one. It's basically a pick'em game, and I'm gonna ride with Seattle there.
I'll take the Rams just because last time I dissented on the Rams on this show with you, Ray, and they beat the Vikings. So
I'm going to go with the Rams too, actually. The Seahawks have been up and down all year, and I feel like the Rams are finally catching stride. Even after they were going to trade away pieces. Now both those pieces are back. And
now they're not, I guess. Yeah. Looks like a different team, huh?
Right. And then the Sunday night game is the new Joe Flacco led Indianapolis Colts. Can't really talk about that either as well. But they go into Minneapolis. Once again, I feel like that team is in not shambles, but they're definitely in turmoil right now. I'm gonna ride with Minnesota though.
No, I think Flacco is the better guy to win. I think it's a good swap, and I think he's going to go in there and win that game. The Vikings are doing what I said they were going to do. Like they're not good.
And then last but not least,
why they were good. You know what I mean? Like nobody. It's the Vikings. It was like they won those 5 games. I was like, how?
Defense. The Flores defense.
It's just like I don't even.
It was decent defense, and then they had time.
It was well schemed. It was well schemed defense, but like eventually the tape on Darnold was going to start to pile up, right? And you can see that that's what they're attacking now. What teams are attacking to beat them? Yeah.
So and then last but not least, I mean, listen, this is this is not a toss up. The Chiefs are definitely not losing to Tampa Bay, so the Chiefs will stay undefeated on Monday night. So that does it for. Show 1. Like I said, we got more stuff coming your way, literally, minutes away. So for the Road BK Bob Kelly, he's DK Sizzle. I'm Hollywood Rayshawn Buchanan. Until next time, wishing you bro. So we'll see you. Peace.
Hi, I'm Geraldine Glass, and I'm excited to share a new healing music offering, an extended version song called Joy Reboot, a unique fusion of pop, classic, rap, soundscapes, and funk to inspire collaboration and bring unity through sound. For us, Joy Reboot is music medicine, out now with Electrocast Records.
Hey. Heard you like podcasts? Well, check out Dollar Bets. 2 sports guys with faces for radio, betting live money against each other on air. That's Dollar Bets with a Z. Find us on the Winner's Edge.
Electrocast.